Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ceren İskit, and you are watching What's New, What's News. Yes, as you all know now, we are following Turkey's agenda closely, and we are discussing important subjects with important and distinguished guests. Now, we are discussing about the influence agent bill or law that may be possible to be in the rule of law, and we will be discussing this issue, I would say, as a journalist, with my fellow, I would say, colleague, and also my master, also member of the parliament from Republican People's Party, MP Utku Çakırözer. Welcome, Mr. Çakırözer. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for inviting.
Now there is a huge discussion about this influence agent, maybe a controversial bill offer now is on the table in Turkey's parliament, and of course the main opposition party, CHP, Republican People's Party, is completely against it. But can you please, first of all, explain what is this law? And how may this affect, especially when we talk about journalists, when we talk about media freedom, or non-profit organizations? Can you share your insights with us, please?
Sure, thank you very much. There are the preparations of the 9th Judicial Reform Package. It's not yet in the Parliament. I think it's been drafted within the government circles, primarily in the Ministry of Justice. But what we have learned from the press, including the Mr. Minister's statements to some press organizations in Turkey, that there would be a definition of a new crime, which is, as you mentioned, is agents of influence. I mean, a new definition. Those agents of influence would be criminalized according to the law. This is actually very similar to what we have experienced. I think it was a year and a half ago during the Disinformation Act, as you remember. The government brought another bill which they claimed that they were going to work against disinformation. However, at the end of the day, it resulted in a way that has sort of further silenced, let's say, specifically journalists, but not limited to journalists and press institutions, but those people who use social media. And in the first year when it has been enacted, after it has been enacted, if I'm not wrong, more than 40 journalists have sort of experienced investigations. I think 47 investigations, and some of those journalists has been detained just because they have what they have written or what they have sort of shared in social media, claiming that this was sort of a disinformation. Although all of those reports or social media sharings were actually very much representing the truth itself. Now we have a similar what we feel, and what we are concerned is that we are facing a similar experience. And now we have a new crime definition, being an agent of influence, and this proposed legislation, according to us, appears to target specifically news organizations, journalists, but not limited to them, many academicians, who are receiving foreign funds. But it is very, according to what we have seen from the reports published especially in the pro-government media, there is a very vague definition of what is an agent of influence. So under this vague category of crime, individuals engaging in activities aligned with the strategic interests of foreign states organizations against Turkish security and political interests could face penalties. This includes, according to reports, those who conduct research on Turkish citizens, entities, or foreigners in Turkey, and incorporates a wide variety of sectors, including transport, culture, economy, finance, defense, cybersecurity, public security, and public health. I mean, this is too wide, as you see. I mean, and also the definition is very vague. So we're very concerned, not only we, meaning not only as the opposition, as we CHP, but also I used to be a journalist. I'm coming from a media background, so I have realized that there's a lot of concern among media organizations, but it's not limited. Also, there is a lot of concern among civil society and among academicians.
Yes, especially this time, I've seen many discussions surrounding especially the non-profit organizations which has been funding from foreign organizations coming from EU and such things. But I would like to ask you another question. What do you think is the government's motivation behind reintroducing and modifying this foreign agent clause, you think?
First of all, let me underline that I think it's not only, the only condition wouldn't be funding. You understand me? If a personality, a journalist, or an institution who is making a news without necessarily getting fund from outside, can also be sort of get under investigation just because of claims that he's an agent of influence for that country or for this international organization. So it's not necessary whether they get funds or not. You understand what I'm saying? So now this brings to your question. So what are we concerned is that any kind of news reporting or comment or documentary or an academic thesis which sort of puts forward what the government is doing or criticizing what the government is doing can easily be stamped as being a product of the agents of influence. For instance, you remember now that we have all these Israeli attacks against Palestinians in Gaza, unacceptable and very against humanity, as you know, all those attacks, unacceptable and horrible attacks of Israel. And you remember one of our colleagues, Metin Cihan, has sort of found out and disclosed that the Turkish government has been sort of increasing its trade with Israel. If this new bill has been in use, then he would easily be blamed. He would be easily blamed for being an agent of influence of Israel, and can be investigated and can be put into prison. You understand what I'm saying? So the result is a big limitation of our freedom of expression and press freedoms in Turkey. And also it would also curb, it would prevent in general people of their right to have to be informed about what's happening. You understand what I'm saying? The right to be informed. So it would bring further limitations, further pressure to the press freedoms sphere in Turkey, which is already problematic.
Yes, and I would like to again ask you what sort of motivation that the government has, rewriting or reintroducing such legislation like this to the parliament, you think?
Sure. I mean, I think the motivation is the same with the Disinformation Act that has been, as I summarized, that's been brought a year and a half ago, which was to silence opposition, to prevent people learning realities. I mean, and getting getting information about what is really happening in Turkey, in Turkey's relations with the world. So the government really doesn't want all these whatever they're doing negative doesn't want it to be known by the people in general. So they are sort of trying to silence, trying to make them fear, silence the journalists and make them fear from what they're writing, from what they're commanding, from what they're sharing. So the general idea is to sort of make all those negative comments not to appear, actually. So this time also their prime motivation is that they don't want to be criticized. They don't want especially their wrongdoings be known by people. And they don't want these to be written, these to be shown, these to be sort of criticized by the media, by civil society. So actually, their main motivation is to increase pressure upon independent journalism and also civil society sphere.
And I would like to also, I don't want to take your time too much, but I would like to also ask you, what is the CHP's policy about it, and if this bill will be accepted in the parliament, what is the plan of CHP doing about it?
Sure. As you might have observed, our chairman, Mr. Özgür Özel, party chairman, Mr. Özgür Özel, just 2 days ago has made it very clear that if this draft comes as it is that we have read from the press, then it would put Turkey into the category of those countries with Russia, with Georgia, and with Kyrgyzstan. Those are, as you know, those are the three countries which have enacted similar laws to sort of prevent any criticism or dissent, discourage dissent, discourage criticism, to curb press freedoms. So, and he said, Mr. Özgür, our chairman, Mr. Özgür, said that if you don't bring this to the parliament, if you bring this, then this means that you would accept that you are, I mean, you meaning the government, you put yourself into this category with Russia primarily, which, as you know, uses a similar law to silence opposition, to silence press freedoms in Russia. Many critiques of Putin and the regime are either put into prison or are silenced by a similar law. So what will be if they bring it to the parliament? It's not yet in the parliament, as I said at the beginning. If they bring it as it is, we would definitely struggle against this bill. We would try our best. I mean, not to pass this from the parliament. You know, in the parliaments we have the right to filibuster, so we will do whatever we can do, at least to slow down the passage of the bill from the parliament. But we expect from the government not to bring this. We are hearing nowadays, as you also might have realized, that they are also trying to sort of trying to play with the wording of the new definition, but still, in whatever shape it comes, because it's vague, because it doesn't include concrete sort of definition, it will inevitably be used against journalists, against civil society, against academicians. I mean, against all those people and institutions who sort of create knowledge, create information. So it would inevitably, definitely will put pressure on press freedoms, limitation, I mean, new limitations on press freedoms, and it would actually target the freedom of expression in general, among the society, among civil society, and especially among media institutions.
Mr. Çakırözer, now we're coming to an end. I have one last question for you.
Sure.
Before you go. As both a journalist and an MP, when you see this kind of issues in Turkey, how do you evaluate, and what is the, I think, and you have been working about media, free media in Turkey. I have been following you closely. How do you see those kind of pressure outcome in Turkey, nationally and internationally, you think?
During the AKP era, especially in the last 10 years, unfortunately, Turkey's ranking in press freedoms have gone to the very deep end of the indexes, all indexes. As far as I know, we are in the 158 step among 180 countries throughout the world in terms of press freedoms. So it's a big shame for the whole country. I mean, as a result of all these limitations, pressures, censorship against journalists, against media institutions. I disclose each and every month press freedom reports, and sort of observe each and every month what has happened in terms of attacks against press freedoms in Turkey. Unfortunately, each and every month, around 50 or 60 times, journalists face prosecutors or judges just because to defend either their news reports or their social media posts. I mean, which is unacceptable. But this is not limited to that. Also, journalists are faced with attacks. They are faced with targetings of high-level politicians. So they are having, indeed, they're doing job with sort of fear of losing their lives, indeed. And also, the government institutions like RTÜK and Basın İlan Kurumu, I mean, press advertisement agency, and also radio television high board. I mean, their normal role, constitutional role, should be to regulate the media atmosphere, media sphere. But what they have turned during the AKP era has been that they have been sort of punishing, giving harsh penalties to those institutions or newspapers or TV channels which are criticizing the government, very harsh penalties. So I mean, I can count, I mean, for hours for what's been happening, but as a result, I mean, we're not in a very good position in terms of media freedom, and this is actually a sort of a reflection of the situation of democracy. I mean, they are, as you know, mutual. I mean, if you don't have press freedoms, you don't have democracy, and if you don't have democracy and rule of law, then you don't have press freedoms. So press freedoms, media freedoms, and freedom of information, freedom of media is I think first and foremost condition of Turkey's democratic struggle for the last 10 years and for the next coming years. And I believe at the end, definitely I mean, journalists are struggling, but we are also giving full support to those journalists who are trying to save their freedoms, but also who are serving for the great benefit of people to be informed about what's happening. Mm-hmm. So we're supporting them, we're in solidarity with them, and I believe that at the end of the day, I mean, rights and freedoms would prevail and democracy would prevail in Turkey.
Mr. Çakırözer, thank you very much, and I appreciate your support to journalists as a journalist as well, and thank you very much for sparing your special time with me and joining this discussion. Thank you.
I thank you very much, and of course I appreciate your efforts regarding the freedoms and rights agenda. Thank you indeed.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, yes, as we have seen, it's a very, we have seen such dark days in Turkey, especially when it comes to press freedom. And now we're dealing with a new legislation offer draft, maybe presented in Parliament, but we will see in the coming days whether it will be accepted in the Parliament, and when it comes to that day, hopefully it will be a good day for press freedom as well. Well, this week we have now came to an end on Friday. For next week we will come up with new subjects looking closer to Turkey. Till then, have a lovely weekend, and do not to subscribe my YouTube channel and share your comments with me. Your feedbacks are very important for me. Thank you very much.